This is Rob Deininger, and this is the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and I'm here with Jack Degraw, and we are talking everything Yankees. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you today, Robert?
I'm doing pretty good, and I guess we got some news today about Aaron Hicks. He's been reinstated, and they sent Tauchman down to AAA, but it looks like we'll have Hicks in the lineup tonight.
Well, I'll be glad to get him back. The only question is, he hasn't had many at-bats because he didn't have any spring training, and he only got maybe 25, 30 at-bats in the minors, so it could take a week or 10 days to get him back to snuff, but it's good to see him in the lineup.
Yeah, and Gino Carlos Stanton, I know he had the bicep problem, which apparently is fine now, but then he has a shoulder problem, and he got a cortisone shot last week, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard, but I haven't heard any updates. I mean, he was going to take some BP, and now it's been, I haven't heard anything in a week or so.
Yeah, because I was really hoping to see him have a big year this year. I mean, he had a good year last year, but being his first year on a new team in a new division, I thought it would take him a year to acclimate, and I was hoping to see a nice year out of him this year, but we might not get that if he's going to be battling through injuries again this year.
Yeah, it doesn't look good so far. I mean, even when he does come back, it's like he'll be starting the year all over again. So it could take a couple weeks just to get him going.
But in the meantime, though, I mean, the Yankees' current lineup, I mean, it's been a joy to watch these guys play. I mean, they're doing. We were talking about this yesterday. They're doing things we don't really see them do: bunting, moving runners over, putting the ball in play. I mean, they're playing a little bit of small ball.
Yeah, it's some old-time baseball, and it's great to see. I guess, when you get the guys in the lineup who know they're not going to be able to hit a home run every time at bat, they just have to play within themselves, and it makes the game, I think, a lot more exciting and a lot more fun to watch. I mean, they don't leave a lot of men on base, and like you were saying, they move the runners around, they hit to the opposite field, so it's really a lot of fun watching these guys.
And the one guy I'm really starting to really be a big fan of is DJ LeMahieu, who, I mean, I to be honest, I really didn't hear that much of him when he was with Colorado, but he's Mr. Everything. He hits the ball all over the field. He could play anywhere in the infield, really, and he's second in the American League in batting, and he's up there among the league leaders with multiple hit games. He's really been a big plus for the Yankees this year.
Yeah, he really swings. He's an all-around player. I mean, he led the National League in hitting a few years ago. He reminds me of some of the old Yankee hitters like Thurman Munson and Lou Piniella and Willie Randolph. They use the whole field, and they hit. He's just an exceptional hitter. It's somebody I'm glad to see. A great pickup by the Yankees.
Yeah, and another player who just came out of nowhere is Urshela. I mean, he's been playing. He just comes up with big hit after big hit, and he's been incredible in the field.
Yeah, he's really done a great job. That's another great pickup by Cashman. I mean, the guy was in the major leagues for a while with Cleveland, and I seen him down here in spring training. He looked good, but he's been terrific so far.
Yeah, and it begs the question, when Didi does come back, Urshela doesn't have any options, so if you send him down, you're opening him up to the waiver wire. And right now, I mean, Andujar is just struggling to get going. He's only batting, I think, 128 in 12 games so far. He needs more time, but he's struggling a little bit.
Well, the big concern is, I mean, he's not only is he not hitting the ball, he's not hitting the ball hard.
No.
I mean, he just doesn't seem to be able to square up anything. He's just hitting weak ground balls and weak pop-ups, and, he's striking out a lot. So, you got to give the guy a couple more weeks, but, maybe that injury he has isn't healed. It's definitely concerned.
And Tanaka yesterday, he looked great. yesterday. I mean, if you can get that kind of pitching out of Tanaka, I mean, that's huge.
Well, he's been a pretty steady pitcher, Robert. When I see him in the game, I always feel the Yankees got a good chance of winning. And just bringing up another thing, Didi is going to start a rehab probably in a week or so, so they might have him back sooner than they expected.
Yeah, because they weren't calling for him to be back until somewhere around the All-Star break, maybe afterwards. So that's a plus.
Yeah, they might get him back in the middle of June.
Yeah, and right now I think Brett Gardner's really our only consistent left-handed bat in the lineup, right? I mean, there's no left-handed bat.
Yeah, they really need Didi. He's a heck of a player, and it'll be great to get him back. I mean, the Yankees are loaded if they can just get the team on the field.
Yeah. I mean, Cashman really struck gold with Didi. I mean, he's gotten better every single year. He just keeps improving and improving and improving. And that has to be one of the best acquisitions on Brian Cashman's part with Didi.
Yeah, getting Didi and Luke Voigt, and they sign these guys off the waiver wire, and they just seem to, step in and do a good job. So the Yankees got a lot more depth than I thought they had at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Voigt, I mean, he's up there in home run leaders, RBIs. I mean, he's proven to have a nice bat in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah, didn't he have a stretch, Robert? He got on base like 43 games in a row. I mean, that's incredible for a power hitter.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, yeah, going back to last year, he was reaching base safely, and something like 40 games or something like that. And the real big surprise for me this year though is Domingo Germán. I mean, he's been the ace of this pitching staff, really.
Yeah, I mean, losing Severino, and I knew Germán was a good pitcher, but I didn't think he'd step up like this, and he really looks great. So that's a big plus in the Yankees' favor. He's done a terrific job.
Yeah, batters are only hitting 170 off of him. And in 8 starts, he's 7-1, and his ERA is 2.70. I mean, he's looked great. And didn't we acquire him in the Stanton deal?
I'm not really positive where they got him, Ro. I just know he really don't have a lot of experience. I mean, he's only pitched in his entire career, maybe 650 innings, and that's in like 8 or 9 seasons, and that's even his minor league record. So it could be, he's on a pitch innings limit. So we don't know how long he can keep that up. Maybe if they get Severino back, which is a big question, and Montgomery. But I think somewhere down the line, the Yankees are going to acquire another pitcher.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about Montgomery. Do you know the timetable on his status when he might be back throwing the ball?
Well, from what I understand, he's been throwing off of flat ground, and soon he'll get on a mound and start throwing. So I think you probably will see him. Hopefully, we'll see him sometime in August.
Yeah. As far as I agree with you that I think we're going to acquire another pitcher. Do you think we might look for a trade, or do you think someone like Dallas Keuchel, who's still out there as a free agent, might be someone we target?
Well, he's definitely a possibility, but I think it'll just be a yearly rental. The thing that concerns me about him is even if they sign him after they get the players from the Dominican Republic and the international draft, he might not be ready till July either. So you're only going to get him for maybe 15 starts. So I don't know what he's going to be asking, but it's definitely a possibility because the Yankees could, win it all this year.
Yeah. With Hicks coming back, do you see Clint Frazier staying in the lineup? Because right now, I mean, he's playing really well. He's batting near 300. He's got 6 homers, almost 20 RBIs. I think you got to keep this bat in the lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you, Robert. I mean, he has nothing more to prove in AAA, and he's just been playing terrific. And I think, like I said before, Hicks, he's really in his third week of spring training, so it could take him a while to, get into form. And, the way the Yankees are playing now, I mean, with Andujar struggling, and then you have Hicks, you might have a lot of strikeouts before they get back on the groove. So I wouldn't want to take a bat like Frazier's out of the lineup.
Yeah. And the division is starting to tighten a little bit in the past week. The Yankees, after taking 2 out of 3 from Tampa, are just a half game behind them. And Boston is creeping up. They're only 3 games behind Tampa Bay, too. So they're starting to bunch up there at the top.
Well, the division the Yankees are in, that's the toughest division. You got, the teams you just mentioned. And, the American League overall is kind of weak. You only got 5 or 6 good teams. So, but the Yankee division is the tough one. Cleveland, you expect them to be good. The Astros, are going to be good. The Red Sox, the Rays, and then the Twins are a surprise team this year. But if you look at the other teams, the American League is weak.
Yeah. And the Yankees got, 3 games or 4 games against Baltimore starting tonight?
Yeah, I hope they can at least get 3 out of 4. Don't go don't have what happened last year. When they struggled against the Orioles.
Yeah, so far this year the Yankees are 8-3 versus teams in the American League East, which is good. That's what we gotta do. We need a winning record to get teams in our own division.
Yeah, that's what hurt them last year. Against the weaker teams, they struggled.
Yeah, and we got, I think, Jonathan Loaiza, or I think is that how you pronounce his last name? Pitching tonight?
Yep. Yeah, he pitched the other day, and I think he'll get some more opportunities. A good thing is the other day back from the minor league is they got Chad Green. It looked like he got his problems solved down there in AAA. Tommy Phelps, the AAA pitching coach, did a great job with him, and so did Danny Burrell.
Yeah, he said he fixed what was wrong with them. I don't think he explained what was wrong, but he said whatever the problem was, he seems to have fixed it, and he did look impressive yesterday against Tampa. Yeah,
it seemed like maybe he was pitching differently from the rubber, standing different way, and he had his arms, his hands was starting around his waist area. It just seemed like he was more in sync. But whatever he was doing, it was working.
Yeah, and another pitcher who seems to be back to his old form is Canale, Tommy Canale. He's got an ERA of 1.13, and opponents are only batting 125 against him. I mean, he's looked sharp.
Well, the big concern with him last year, remember his velocity was down, Robert. It was only 91 or 92. And now he seems to have that, in the mid to upper 90s. So, he's turned it around for the better.
And the one pitcher in the bullpen that I think we need to pitch well is Zach Britton. But he scares me every time he comes in. Seems to pitch himself into trouble, and then somehow he gets out of it.
Yeah, he's turned around a little bit lately, but if he could just get back to the way he was, I mean, he's a terrific pitcher. But he struggled a little in the beginning of the season, as did Chapman, but they seem to be turning around. I hope Chapman, as we get later on in the season and the weather warms up, his velocity will be getting up there, because he doesn't seem to be throwing as many fastballs, and even the ones he throws are like 97 miles per hour instead of 101, what we're used to. And then hopefully we'll get Betances back soon.
Yeah, I completely forgot about him, but he's another pitcher who's going to be key down the stretch for us this season.
Yeah, I know he's been throwing a little bit, but I haven't heard too many reports about him yet. But I think he might be a month away or so.
And CeCe, he recorded his 3,000th strikeout not too long ago. And I was wondering, do you think we'll ever see pitchers today win 300 games or come close to 3,000 strikeouts? I know Felix Hernandez of Seattle just recorded his 2,500 strikeout in his last start or the start before, but do you think we'll see pitchers approaching 3,000 strikeouts again?
I don't really think so, Robert, because they throw so hard now, and they don't throw, they're on 5 or 6 innings. I don't think we're going to see, the 300-game winners anymore. Maybe too many 250-game winners, because it just seems like, they throw 5 or 6 innings, and most of these guys now are throwing 98, 100 miles an hour, and that takes a lot on the arm. I think now, instead of 300-game winners, if a guy gets to 200 wins, that's a great career.
It's like the one pitcher who I always loved was Mike Mussina, and he pitched his entire career in the American League East. And I just think he's one of those guys that's borderline Hall of Fame. And do you think you'll ever see someone like him or CC get into the Hall of Fame?
I think there's a good possibility we'll see Messina get in, and I think CC will eventually get in. It might take a couple years, but he was a great pitcher for a long time. CC, the last 4 or 5 years, he had to learn how to pitch again. But before that, I mean, he was dominant. You remember how good he was with the Yankees when they first got him. He won like 76 games in 4 years, and he just was blowing people away. But then he had some trouble with his knees and his weight, and he had to learn to go from a fastball pitcher to throw in some off speed stuff. But he made the turnaround.
And going forward, do you think the return of people like Judge and Stanton and like all those big hitters in the lineup will affect the way we're playing with more strikeouts being introduced to the lineup?
Yeah, I think it will, Robert, because those guys, that's what it is now. They hit home runs. They're big guys. They lift weights now, and they're home run hitters. I mean, they'll play great for the Yankees, and the Yankees will win a lot of games. But I think as you get in the playoffs, you would like to see a different style of ball. But I think having a guy like Mateo on the team is a terrific acquisition.
Yeah, I thought we were going to have really good depth this year too. I mean, I thought Tulowitzki was a high risk, but the rewards could have been great, and he just can't stay on the field, it seems, anymore.
Yeah, I was excited about him. I thought, well, maybe he can play 80 to 100 games and stay healthy, but now you don't know if he'll ever be in a Yankee uniform again. But with all the injuries that come along, somewhere down the road we might see him again. And
do you think Tampa Bay is a team that's going to stay with the Yankees and Red Sox throughout the season, or do you just think they'll start to slowly fall off a little bit?
No, they always put a good team on over there. I mean, they do a terrific job, the Rays, and I think they'll stay around. At the end of the year, they'll have 90, 92 wins. So I think they're not going anywhere. They're gonna stick around for the whole season. I think they'll be a wild card team.
And I want to ask you about this. Does this Yankee team resemble any teams from the past that you remember?
Well, the way they're playing now, with the hitters and stuff, they remind me in some ways of like the 77-78 team. When the Yankees had Munson, and they had Willie Randolph, and they had Piniella, and I mean they even had like Nettles. Even though Nettles was a power guy, when he'd get on with a man on second in the tie game or the winning run, he would change his approach too, and he would hit singles. So that's what I like seeing. It reminds me of some of those teams from the late 70s.
Yeah. And yesterday was Mother's Day, but it would have been Yogi Berra's 94th birthday yesterday. Is there any?
Yeah, I mean, Yogi was like one of a kind. I mean, he made the world a better place. I mean, not only was he a great baseball player, and some of the quotes are just fantastic.
Yeah,
but I mean, whenever you hear that name, it's like it makes you smile.
Don Mattingly wears number 8 in honor of Yogi Berra with the Marlins as manager.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that, Robert. You learn something new every day. Well, Yogi was with some of those teams with Mattingly. I remember when Yogi got canned after 16 games. I think it was 84. I remember reading, Mattingly, the players were all pissed off, and Mattingly was really upset, too.
Yeah, and in 1983, Yogi Berra could see that Donnie was going to be something special, and he did his best to get him in the lineup, whether it was playing third base or left field. He's the one that, made sure to try to get Donnie in the lineup, and by 84, Mattingly was their first baseman. So it was Yogi that saw something in him.
Yeah, I remember when they first brought Mattingly up, he played a lot of outfield. And I believe he wore number 46 then. I'm not really big on the numbers, but, Yogi gave him an opportunity, and, look what kind of a ball player Don Mattingly became.
Yeah. And what do you see going forward in these next 7 games? I think they play 4 against Baltimore, and then they play 3 more against Tampa.
Well, I'm hoping for 5 wins, get 3 against Baltimore and 2 against the Rays. They usually play the Rays good at the Yankee Stadium. The Yankees normally struggle at Tropicana Field. Well, maybe because they don't have the lights on, but they did beat the Rays 2 out of 3, so that was encouraging. And hopefully they can get 3 out of 4 from the Orioles.
Yeah, and Boston's somewhere on the horizon, right? I mean, we play them this month too, right? I'm trying to find their schedule.
Let me see here, Robert. I'm sure that's coming up at some point.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah, they got Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and then they got Baltimore again, Kansas City. Yeah, they got Boston at the end of the month in the beginning of June for 4 games.
Well, that's going to be
the Yankees have a chance here. They got Baltimore for 3, then they got Tampa Bay for 3, Baltimore for 4, Kansas City for 3. So they could go on a winning streak here.
Yeah. And we got I think it shows Sessa tonight, but I think it's Loiza who's pitching, followed by Happ and Herman.
Yeah, I think probably tonight we'll see Loiza pitch, and then we'll probably see Sessa come in at some point, or vice versa. They'll probably switch them. I don't think we're going to see either of them go more than 4 innings.
It's like as long as we keep getting good pitching from our starters in the bullpen, we'll be okay. I think as long as those guys don't get injured, I think we'll be okay. And we'll start getting our guys back. But I always say pitching is key with the Yankees.
Well, yeah, I mean the starting pitching has been pretty well all year, except for Happ had some rough outings, but for the most part, even losing, they lose Paxton for a while, and, the bullpen, failed them a couple games early in the season, or they might even have 2 or 3 more wins. But, it's starting to come around the bullpen. And if the bullpen comes around, they're going to be as good as most people think.
Yeah, and I completely forgot about Paxton. I forgot that they put him on the 10-day IL, but I guess he says the pitching mound is a little hard at Yankee Stadium, and it's been bothering his knee on the landing. So I'm sure they'll fix the mound for him to make sure it's better, going forward. But he's been impressive with the Yankees, especially at home.
Yeah, I think that was a good pickup. I think once he gets healthy, you can write him down for 14, 15 wins, and I think the same thing with Tanaka, and I think Happ will be around 12 or 13 wins. So, I don't think the starting pitcher is going to be too much of an issue. I think they'll get another guy in a trade. In Severino, Robert, I don't even know if we'll see Severino again this year. I think that injury could be a lot worse than the Yankees are letting on.
Yeah, I wouldn't push him or anything. If you have to let him take the year, then let him take the year. And he's too important going forward for the Yankees in the coming years.
Yeah, because it always gets pushed back. It was going to be like the end of April, then it's going to be the beginning of June. Now it's going to be the beginning of July, and it just might come to a point in a month or so. They might just say, that's it. Get ready for spring training here.
And I do wonder how severe the injury is, because I'm wondering, I wonder now if that was part of the problem with him in the second half of last season, his struggles,
Yeah, because, he'd be pitching great. He'd be up there around 100 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden, his mechanics would get all out of whack, and he couldn't, throw the ball over the plate. So, that injury could have been there, almost a year ago.
Yeah. And as far as the Yankees making moves, they definitely have the depth down in the minors to put a package together to acquire someone. I mean, Estrada, the rookie infielder, he's been impressive. He's one of the players.
I remember seeing him down here with the Tampa Yankees, and, you didn't hear a lot about him, but, he's a good ball player. He plays good defense. He's a good hitter. He's got a little power, and, he actually can bunt, which a lot of the minor leaguers can do, and, he's played really well. So I think you'll see him in the big leagues for the next few years.
Yeah, and Maben, he's been a nice pickup for the Yankees.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time. He's an excellent outfielder. He's got a lot of speed. I remember seeing him years ago in the Florida State League with the Lakeland Tigers. So he's been around quite a while. But that was a good pickup. Another good pickup by Cashman.
Yeah. This has been fun, Jack. Do it again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, sounds good, Robert. And hopefully, they'll get some of their players back. And but regardless, it's been the Yankees have looked good so far, considering all the injuries.
Yeah, I mean, they would have had a valid excuse if things were to go the other way. I mean, to overcome the injuries they've had. I mean, it's pretty remarkable what they're doing right now.
Yeah, you never know what you have when you have to reach down in the minors and make some acquisitions through waivers. It's been a pleasant surprise, and this team has been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and 2 weeks we could be a couple games ahead of of everybody in the East, especially with the games we got coming up.
Well, hopefully the next 15 games they can win 10 or 11 games and get us on our way.
Yeah, and how do you like Boone so far? I mean, do you see the improvement from last year as a manager?
Well, in the beginning of the year, there were some things I didn't like. I thought he took the pitchers out too soon. But I think, Robert, the Yankees are run by analytics.
Yeah.
So, Boone ain't going anywhere. I think the players like him. And he seems to be doing a good job. And, that's what runs it now. They got a lot of preppy guys in, making decisions, analytics out of college and stuff. So that's what we're going to see in baseball anymore. They're going to go by the book. So, that's just the way it is.
And it's something like me. I like old school baseball, but it's something that, older guys like me got to adjust to.
Yeah, well, the game is going to change because, the average age of the fan now is 60 years old. So, the younger generation doesn't follow baseball. They're on their computer and they want to see, right now, action right away. So that's why, these guys swing from the ass now and hit home runs and throw 100 miles an hour. That's the only way they're going to get people in the park, and it might help if they, would lower the tickets about 75%. But that's another show.
Tampa Bay, I mean, I think their largest attendance was with the Yankees this past weekend. I mean, they're having trouble bringing people in to watch. I think they've closed the upper deck in the stadium, too.
Yeah, the best they can do, Robert, I think is 26,000. So for the 3 games against the Yankees, they drew like 70,000. But, I mean, really, you're in the American League East, and, I don't think I think eventually that team will be going somewhere else. They might even go to Nashville or Las Vegas. That's another one.
And going back to analytics, I mean, even if hitters strike out 150, 200 times, as long as they're hitting home runs and driving in runs, teams overlook it. And it just made me think of, like, Joe DiMaggio. I think he had just as many walks as strikeouts for his career.
Yeah, it was something like 361 to 358.
It's crazy.
Walks to strikeouts. And now it's like, you look at some of these guys, they got 150 at-bats and they got 12 home runs, but they struck out like 40 times. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like watching the current Yankee team, it really makes you appreciate if you keep the ball in play, good things can happen.
Yep. All right, Jack, this has been fun.
Well, thank you, Robert, and hopefully good times will keep on coming. So I enjoy talking to you.
Likewise. All right, Jack, until next time?
Yep.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.